It's time for your Week 4 Blue Rush preview show. It's our Giants pregame show and podcast from the New York Post and SNY. The Giants are on prime time again. This time, it's Monday Night Football against the Geno Smith 2.0 and the 2-1 Seattle Seahawks. What's up, everybody? I'm Brandon London, and here's the gang. Longtime Giants beat writer for the Post, Paul Schwartz, and two-time Super Bowl champ, former Giants kicker Lawrence Tynes. They're here. We have a great show for you guys. We've got 3 player interviews from the locker room: Adoree Jackson, Xavier McKinney, Jason Pinnock. We're also reading the comments and questions from the X app or Twitter or whatever you guys call it, and we're talking player prop bets. Guys, I know it's prime time because Tynes has his hair slicked back. Looking good, gentlemen.
Thank you. Yes, it is prime time. Not the greatest of memories for this current Giants team on prime time, but we'll see what they can do Monday night. I think it's a big opportunity, and no one will say it in the locker room. Must-win game. Got to have it. Got to go to 2-2 in the first quarter of the season.
Well, Paul, you were in the locker room. You were at practice. It's time for your practice report. Can you update us on any injuries or anything new that we should know about this Giants football team?
Well, we will talk about the whole must-win thing, Lawrence. Look, you were a player for many years, and people like me came in and said it is a must-win. And you would say, no, it's not a must-win. Nobody, Leonard Williams, we'll get into it a little later. It's not a must-win. But look, it's not a game you can just take lightly. Obviously, it's a game I think they have to win to have any kind of real serious playoff aspirations. But we'll move on to that later in the show. As far as injuries, everyone kind of practiced on a limited basis. The guy we're all wondering most about is Saquon Barkley. I think Andrew Thomas will play. I think he maybe could have played in San Francisco, but discretion was the better part of valor there, and he did not play. Saquon, he did some individual things. I thought he looked okay. Not enough for me to say he's going to play. I think, once it was revealed that it's a high ankle sprain, I was much less optimistic about his ability to play. Now, I heard it was a mild high ankle sprain, which there are severities to this, right? There are, it's all certain torn ligaments, right, up in that lower leg area. Yeah. That's what a high ankle sprain is. I would bet against him playing right now, but I don't know that for sure. But they are getting healthier. Ben Bredesen is back. He's going to start at left guard. So he's back, and I think they have some stability at least at offensive line. Now we'll see if they're good enough.
Yeah, that stability on that offensive line is going to help these guys. Obviously, Saquon, if he doesn't play, that is going to be a big talking point throughout the week leading up to Monday, because let's get right into this Giants offense. We'll start with the running backs. Breida had 7 total touches against San Francisco. I believe between he and Brightwell, the running backs had 11 total touches. Carolina, the Panthers, couldn't run the ball against Seattle. How does this Giants offense get some sort of momentum in the run game with or without Saquon Barkley, Tynes?
You just have to move the line of scrimmage, guys. It's not that hard. Pro football is about owning the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. The Giants have to, at home, put on a good performance and move people off of the ball, off the line of scrimmage. They got to run the football. I did a kind of a deep dive last night into stats. I was like stat diving on Daniel Jones' career. And I got into, like, the weeds, guys. I really went deep. I got into the weeds on, like, how many times does he throw it with play action, under center, from shotgun in his career. And I was doing percentages in my mind. You know that guy with the numbers going like this? That was me. He's obviously much, much better as a play action passer. But you can't have play action unless you have a run game. And actually, that's every quarterback. So I fact-checked that. I went and looked at Mahomes and looked at all the best guys. Everyone's better with play action. They got to run the football. It's the most paramount thing they have to do. I would like to see Daniel, though, kind of doing a really deep dive into these stats. I'd like to see him under center more. He's a much better passer, almost a 100 rating, guys. I know that's not today's NFL. They put him in shotgun a lot. There's a lot of reads from there. That's how the offense was built. But I would like to see him under center more. And he's sacked less. His rating's higher. His completion percentage is higher. And obviously they run the ball pretty well from there. So they just got to move the line of scrimmage, Brandon. They just got to get physical with this team. And, Carolina was not able, as you mentioned, to do much last week. But I think the Giants can run the ball. They just got to stay committed to it.
Paul, is this Giants run game the key to unlocking Daniel Jones' true potential?
I don't think it's the key. I think it's important, as Lawrence said. This is not a throw for 380 and run for 50. This is not the kind of team it is. And all around the league, running backs go down and the number 2 guy comes in and plays well, right? I mean, do we know what Matt Breida can do? He barely got the ball last year. He starts this year, right, in the game, and then he, as you said, Brandon, 7 rushes. They get behind. They're playing probably the best front in the league, and it's just not going to work. But let's go. Let's pick it up. The old Tom Coughlin thing. Let's go here. As Lawrence said, they got a block up front, and Matt Breida has to run the ball. That's all. I mean, he's a veteran. They re-signed this guy because they value his leadership and they think, he's got speed. He's a proven guy in the league. He hasn't done much the last few years. Like I said, riding shotgun to Saquon Barkley is not much of a ride. But if Saquon can't play, if he can't do it, then they misfired here, and they should have, then Eric Gray should be more ready, or they should have brought someone else in. I mean, I agree. It's enough with these. We can't do it. We can't do this. We have to keep everyone in. I mean, they got to play some football. I mean, Seattle is a team very much on the Giants level. Would you agree? It's very much a team that is going to be in the playoff hunt in the NFC. They're going to win 10, 9, 8. They're going to be right in that range. The Giants, we hope, will be in that range. Play some real football here. I mean, you watch the first 3 games, and it's almost like the offensive line, met each other yesterday and is just trying to figure it out. I mean, it's some of this has been unacceptable, and not running the ball at all is just totally unacceptable, no matter if Saquon's in there or not.
Yeah, especially in the second half. I believe Breida only had 4 touches in the second half against San Francisco, and I understand you're down, 1 possession, 2 possession games, but at the same time, that's going to open it up. Like Tynes just had the stats. And the run game opens up the passing game. And I wonder, is it because Breida, he'll average that 4 yards per carry, which is solid, which is what you need on a run. But I wonder if it's because he hasn't had that home run, that he hasn't hit that home run or pass or catch, that they kind of move away from that because the Giants are in need of such chunk plays and explosive plays that they try and get out of the run game to try and create that in the passing game. But like Tynes said, running the ball sets up your speed, your play action. You have speed on the outside with Jalen Hyatt, Darius Slayton. You had guys like Adam Thielen and DJ Shark for the Carolina Panthers having a solid day against Seattle. I believe the key to this game is Daniel Jones in this past game going down the field, creating some sort of explosive plays because Seattle can score. Who within this Giants offensive passing game, fellas, do you think needs to have the big day? And I'll ask that question to you to start off with, Paul.
I mean, take your pick. Look, Darren Waller certainly, I think we need to just readjust a little bit with Darren Waller. He's not what he was with the Raiders. I just don't think he's that player. He's not what he was in the spring and summer when he was, running around and he was a beast. He's more than what we've seen so far. I mean, the whole thing has been so dysfunctional that, this is almost like a restart. They've had, 10, 11 days off, which is good. They needed it to heal up mentally, physically. Those 3 games in 12 days was a bit much. So, with Darren Waller, he's not going to be Travis Kelce sans Taylor Swift. He's going to be but they need to get him more involved. Paris Campbell is averaging 4.5 yards a catch. Everything he catches, his back is to the defense and he's facing Daniel Jones and sliding to the ground. Jalen Hyatt was a big source of conversation because he didn't play much. Well, he didn't play much because they had 17 guys in to block because they were afraid of Bosa ruining the game. And at some point you just have to play these guys. You have to say, you're going to block him and we're going to have our receivers out there. And Hyatt's not going to get, 70 snaps, but, Slayton, Isaiah Hodgins. Look, guys, I talked with Sterling Shepard the other day and he's frustrated. He's frustrated. I don't know if you saw that story. He said the handwriting's on the wall. You don't have to be a rocket science to see it. You know what I mean? He's frustrated. He got 2 snaps. in San Francisco too. And I'm not saying Sterling Shepard's going to be, the next thing to turn this offense, on its heels. But he's healthy, he's back. He doesn't play special teams. Wan'Dale Robinson is going to get more snaps now. Cole Beasley's waiting in the wings. He's got a few more games, and they could activate him. So, I think it's just as likely that Sterling Shepard is a healthy scratch than he is getting, 40 snaps and getting a bunch of targets. So, their passing game is not what it needs to be by a long stretch. And, I'm wondering, can Sterling Shepard help here?
I'm hoping that he kind of keeps a cool head on this one because it is a long season and you guys are going to go down. The way the NFL is set up now, like being on the practice squad means that you're going to play at some point this year. You got guys that have had success on the practice squad. So I get how he feels, and it's one of those situations, times where you don't want him to tell himself a story because just like that, he could be thrown into the game and have to play.
Now he did say, look, I've seen too many times where a guy is frustrated and ticked off and he's not ready to play when he's called because you don't know when you're going to call. So he's ready. He's a pro, but he's frustrated. Why wouldn't he be frustrated? He got 2 snaps in the game. And like I asked him, would it be a little more palatable to you if the offense was humming? The passing game was playing well and there's just no place for you. He said, well, yeah, they're not doing anything, and he's not getting the call. So like I said, he's a team guy. We all know Shepard. We all know Sterling. But, of course, he's frustrated, right? If you don't get to play, you're frustrated.
Tynes, if you're a Giants receiver and you are playing, you are Darius Slayton, you are Paris Campbell, are you frustrated with the offense right now?
Yeah, you have to be. I've actually filed a lawsuit against the Giants for false advertising. They falsely advertised that Darren Waller was fast, he could run, jump. Same with all these other guys. Where is it? What happened to this offense? What happened to Darren Waller? Were they showing us those videos on Twitter and Instagram and like faster speeds? You can speed it up a little bit. I think that's what the Giants did here to us, guys. They duped us. False advertising. The lawsuit's going to hit John Mayer's table very soon. I don't know what the hell happened to this offense. Something did. They got scared. They don't run the football. And to go back on Paul's point earlier about the running backs, I would love to see Brightwell get a lot of carries. I love the way he runs. I think he needs to be more involved. I'd love to see Gray. You look at the good teams, the Dolphins, the Steelers, the Lions. Everybody's using these multi-running back formation, not formations, but they're playing a lot of backs throughout the game, which you have to keep them fresh, durable. Receiver-wise, guys, I don't know. I don't even know what the hell this team is on offense. They're nothing what they showed in the preseason. They were second half. We have 30 minutes of football of what we think they are against Arizona. That's it. And they didn't really run the ball there. So I'd like to see them get back to a more balanced attack with some play action. Play action opens up Waller. It opens up Hyatt. It opens up Slayton. Paris Campbell, I don't know. They gave him a little bit of money. Is he any better than Sterling? I don't know. Like you said, Paul, he catches the ball and he falls down.
Yeah, a lot of the catches he had, those little quick out routes against Seattle were like the hot reads. He was getting the ball out early, and that's not what you brought him in to do, be a hot read guy. And if you're going to file a lawsuit against this team, Tynes, CC the Giants' offensive line. Because this primetime game right now, the Giants get to control their narrative off after this game. They get to shut the noise up and be like, oh, we are a 2-2 team that's beaten 2 decent, really good middle tier teams, or they're going to be a 1-3 team where people are like, you know what, why are we giving these guys primetime games anymore? But the Giants' offensive line has to show up and show this game. Seattle's pass rush was pretty much absent through the first 2 weeks, but Carolina's offensive line kind of allowed them to show up. This is the Giants' offensive line time to be like, hey, look, we had some guys nicked up. We were making some adjustments, but we can be that solid offensive line like we were in the second half against the Arizona Cardinals. And then there, we were able to see Darren Waller. We were able to see Saquon, the run game, pass game to the running backs. We were able to see Jalen Hyatt. It all goes hand in hand. And, you know, talking to some of the receivers in the locker room on Tuesday, they understand, like, a receiver's job, we can be wide open, but if the quarterback doesn't have time to throw it, doesn't see it, then we can't do our job. So it's like those guys get called out unfairly sometimes because they're not able to at least get the ball thrown their way. So I think this has to be a huge game for this Giants offensive line to be able to kind of shut up the noise on the outside and build off of this. And that goes into, that kind of leads into the next thing, because when you have an offensive line that's struggling, guys, who's calling the plays? How are you calling the plays? If you're there's a lot of chatter online that people want Brian Dable to call the plays. Are you guys Team Kafka or are you Team Dable on who's calling these plays? Tynes, I see you shaking your head.
I mean, whoever can call the plays, figure it out. The players have to execute the play. Kafka can call the plays, Dable can call the plays. I don't really think it matters. They're just not executing. If you you see all these reports about the offensive line, right? It's 31st or 32nd in the NFL again. We are sick and tired of talking about these 5 guys up front.
Yeah.
I'm sick of it. Like, it's embarrassing. Do your job. Block the man in front of you. 7 out of 10 times. That's good enough. They don't do it 50% of the time. That's the problem. They have no time to throw. Daniel Jones looks terrible at times because of the offensive line. They've got to fix this, guys. I'm sick of talking about it. I'm sick of talking about individual players on this offensive line. You build a football team on the O-line and D-line. It's why we won Super Bowls. Not comparing anything. Show up and do your job. I'm not saying you're going to win every rep, but this is nauseating talking about this offensive line. I'm sick of it. Go play. Go block your man. Win some, lose some. But they're losing more than they're winning, which is why they're 1-2.
I talked to Sean O'Hara, your buddy, right? Your former teammate, and he gave me a really good breakdown of John Michael Schmitz, right, center, and he said he's definitely getting beat. He's definitely getting beat at times, but you can tell the 2 guards to his left and right are different every play, every game, and he does not know where the who's picking up the twist, who's doing this. It's sometimes, Marcus McKeithen was less experienced than John Michael Schmitz, you know what I mean? And then, they put Shane Lemieux in last game. He struggled. He hadn't played in a long time. He was very rusty, so they are finally getting some continuity. The big bell cow, Andrew Thomas should be back. McKeithen's going to be there again. Bredesen will be back. He's their best left guard. I mean, I don't know what that's saying, but he is. So, he brings some stability. And, to your point, Lawrence, about just play, I mean, Evan Neal has just got to figure it out. You know what I mean? He gets too high. Sean O'Hara was giving me a really good rundown that he is so concerned about getting out there fast because he's so worried about getting beat by someone around the end. He's so concerned about getting out there fast that he takes false steps and he gets off balance. And then he gets knocked down to the ground. He's so concerned. He's not trusting his strength and his size to get there. He's taking a quick step out there and he's on the ground. And he said, you can't block anybody on the ground. He's on the ground way too much. They didn't draft him number 7 to be on the ground. You know what I mean? So if he can't do it, it's a problem. He's their right tackle. If he can't do it, and I agree. I mean, I think people are sensing this frustration from us, but it's like, you're right. I mean, Daniel Jones pressured on 47% of his drop depth.
Ridiculous.
I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It just can't happen. Stop it.
Yep.
Stop
I got one more
happen.
stat for you guys. The Giants have allowed 27 pressures in under 2 seconds. That's nearly twice as many as the second worst team. So
that's shocking.
Yeah. That's why that ball is coming out. Yep, that's why that ball is coming out fast. And Paris Campbell was averaging 4 yards per catch.
Yeah, and by the way, those Niners players need to shut the hell up. What are they talking about Daniel Jones's contract for? I know I'm getting off case here, but I read that this week. I thought that was so chicken shit. Like, what are they doing?
I've got a comment for you from the fans.
Like, what are we doing? You're devaluing what you guys are. They're a great defense. Of course the ball's coming out fast, right? Like, don't hate on Daniel Jones. He says nothing.
Hey, players talking about other players' money, that's not
never happened in my
day.
day.
Right. I mean,
back in my day, it never happened.
The fans in the media talk about it, but I mean that's
ridiculous. They're a bunch. They've won nothing. Those dudes have won nothing. None of those guys have won a damn thing in San Francisco. Not one damn thing for Greenlaw and the anonymous guys talking. Put your name on it. Put your name on it. Stop talking about our quarterback. Sorry.
I got a comment this morning. I got a fan comment on that, so we're gonna go back. We're gonna go back and readdress that. I did want to talk about
me mad.
The return of Julian Love. to New York City. Obviously, the Seattle secondary is stacked with Woolen trending in the right direction. Looks like he'll be playing. Witherspoon had himself a solid game. Jamal Adams returns to the lineup. What do you guys think about this Seattle secondary?
They got some guys banged up, too. This is a banged-up team. 10 guys on Seattle did not practice at all on Thursday. So they're banged up. I mean, yes, Jamal Adams is coming back. It's his first game in over a year with the quadriceps. But I think Trey Brown, Kobe Bryant, Diggs didn't practice Thursday. We'll see about that. Two defensive linemen, Reed and Jones, didn't practice. So we'll see. The Giants could catch a break here with this long break. Look, Julian Love, Brian Daboll said it the other day. He's a great player and a great guy. He probably got that half right. He is a great guy. He's a good player. Julian Love is a good player, and his steadiness might be missing. Pinnock in the Giants' defensive backfield is like feast or famine, right? He comes flying in like his hair is on fire, and he may make a good play or he may miss a tackle. Julian Love was the opposite of that. He was more, more stout. He made the play. He brought the guy down. A little less flash. He's a good player. He's been banged up. He's been dealing, I think, with a hamstring. He gutted it out last game. He wants to play well. He wanted to come back to the Giants, and they wanted him back. And I think the Giants actually offered him a little more money. But by the time he came back around to the Giants, that contract, that offer was gone, and he went out to Seattle, which disappointed me. And he was a guy I thought was really made for New York. Don't you guys? Julian, you were in a locker room. He really understood what New York was about. He was our Good Guy Award winner. He was great with the media. And now he's out in Seattle. God bless him. It's very far away.
When he came and did, real quick before I move on to the defense, when he came and did Good Morning Football, their studio's right next to us, and I was talking to him, and I was like, what's the biggest difference you've noticed from being out there? He's like, at practice here, you see the New York skyline in the background. He was like, practice out there, you see mountains, and he was like, they'll stop practice and just look at American bald eagles flying over the practice facility and stuff. He was like, that's pretty cool. So, I thought that was me being...
Hey, no state income taxes. No state income
in Washington,
taxes, guys.
really?
Don't ever underestimate that. There's a little extra money there.
Go move out to the Pacific. Go move out to the Pacific.
I'm not living out there with those coffee drinking people. Eagle watchers.
Eagle watchers. All right, let's flip it to the defense. It's the return of Geno Smith 2.0. Geno is playing lights out these last 2 years. How do the Giants contain, slow down, or even stop Geno Smith, Paul?
Well, first of all, two of their offensive linemen are probably not going to play. Charles Cross has a toe injury. Phil Hayes has a calf injury. So they're, hello, knock, knock, knock. Hello, Kayvon Thibodeau. You know what I mean? Charles Cross is probably not going to be there. You know what I mean? You got your one sack. The Giants got their sack. That's great. Kayvon Thibodeau has got to step it up. And like we talked about Evan Neal, the number 7 pick, the number 5 pick. I mean, I'm sure, Lawrence, you're not real into hearing about scheme and dropping. And I do what the defense has asked of me, and I can't get outside myself. Well, sometimes you can just beat your man and just put the quarterback down. That's not getting outside of anything. That's just doing it. I'm not saying it's going to be 50 times a game you're going to be rushing the passer, but that's what you're there for. It was really interesting because Leonard Williams was a rookie in 2015 when Geno was with the Jets. Okay, Leonard was kind of very young. I think he was like 20 years old. And Leonard still, I think, is kind of bemused about what's going on in the league sometimes. He's kind of he's just he's not the most sophisticated is not the right word because it's not right. But Leonard
he's a deep thinker, Leonard Williams.
He just kind of lets things come to him. You know what I mean? And he said something very funny about, you remember, Geno got punched out in the locker room by IK Mpakali, whatever his name is, right?
Yeah.
So this is Leonard talking about he is a rookie. Okay. He said, when I first came into the league, it was a crazy eye opener to me to see. He got punched by a linebacker in the locker room. I was a rookie seeing this, and it was just like, whoa. I mean,
that
you guys
were in
the locker room. Can you imagine being in the Giants locker room sitting there at one point, and all of a sudden you see a linebacker go up to Eli and punch him in the mouth and break his jaw?
Absolutely. I mean, the linebacker would have gotten jumped by 40 other players.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But it does go to show you how far Geno Smith has come, and kudos to him because I am happy for a guy who has kind of been buried at one place and goes out there and looks fantastic, not just good. Like, he's a really good NFL quarterback. Top 10, easy.
It almost never happens. It almost never happens. I mean,
no.
There's some people, in New York kind of wondering, say, could that ever happen to Zach Wilson? Does he have enough inside him where he gets out of the Jets and goes somewhere else?
I think he does.
Isn't that interesting? I mean, I don't know.
I think he does.
I don't think. Really? You think he could be
comparing
a
the
Geno
two?
Smith type guy?
I think Zach Wilson could be phenomenal. I think he does so many things well. Arm talent. Wow. I absolutely think Zach Wilson, I know we're getting off topic, can be phenomenal in the right. So put Zach Wilson in Kyle Shanahan's. You don't think he would turn this thing back a year ago when Purdy and say he had Purdy and Zach Wilson? You don't think Zach Wilson could beat Purdy right now, but even better?
No.
I do.
No.
I think it depends on the offense.
You talked about his. Go ahead.
The Jets have to tell C.J. Mosley to punch out Zach Wilson in the locker room. That's it. And then he sends him somewhere else, and he's interesting. Wow. Interesting. Yeah.
I think one thing about that separates a Zach Wilson from a what's the guy's Geno Smith is I forget who I was talking to, but they were talking about when Geno was a backup, how he just prepared like a starter at all times when he was here in New York. I think Darius Slayton told me that. He was like, when Geno was here, Xavier McKinney, one of those guys, when Geno was here, he was preparing like a starter at all times. He had this high level of confidence about him at all times. And you can see Seattle kind of won that trading Russell Wilson to the Broncos and keeping and having Geno Smith at what they paid him at a cheaper rate. But he also benefits from having a DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Noah Fant. He has weapons around
He's got
him.
Njigba too, the talented rookie guys. They're loaded. I'll say the last thing about Zach Wilson. He's in that same exact category. If you watch these shows on TV, Mike Lombardi and the old Colts coach on the McAfee show yesterday, he has less time than Daniel Jones in the pocket. So I don't care if Aaron Rodgers was quarterbacking that Jets team. They're going. Those offensive lines are horrific. I don't think he has a chance. How the hell did the Jets get into our show? But here we are.
And you know what? And you know what, Brandon? You mentioned all those weapons, right?
Yep.
We haven't. It's amazing, right? After 3 games, we have not talked about the rookie corners that much, right? Which is kind of a good thing. First of all, it's a bad thing. It's a bad thing because we're talking about everyone missing tackles and not stopping a run, which is a bad thing. But it's not like we look at these games and say, well, the rookies just got trashed on the outside. That's why they lost. They can't handle it. They've had their growing pains, but they have not been bad. And I think this is a big week because Seattle wants to run the ball, and they will throw the ball deep. And, Metcalf and Lockett are like, no one says, they're the 2 best in the league, but they're really good. They're really good and really physical, especially Metcalf. And I think this is, they're going to have Metcalf run deep, and either Banks or Hawkins is going to have to run with him and be physical with him. And I think that's where the Giants could potentially get in some problems, because I think that could be a really big, especially if it's a close game. Seattle's 20-0, which seems to happen every game against the Giants, against somebody, then they're not going to have to do that. But if it's a close game or Seattle's losing, I think this is the week the rookies really get tested, really.
Call me crazy, guys, but I like the way our secondary kind of matches up against these receivers. We'll hear from Adoree Jackson a little bit later, but you put Adoree Jackson on Tyler Lockett, you put Trey Hawkins III, who's taller, longer, on a DK Metcalf, and then Tay Banks on Njigba. You give yourself a chance, at least. We could have been talking about Tay Banks after the 49ers game. He dropped that interception in the red zone that could have taken points off the board. But he's right there, Paul. I don't think we've seen a Giants first-round corner come in and kind of just pick up on the speed of the NFL and have that type of confidence that fast. And that guy plays with a lot of confidence. So I think he's going to be one of the first. He'll be the first person to get the turnover, that first turnover of the year. Let's talk about Kenneth Walker III and what he adds to this offense. Paul, Tynes, this offense is as balanced as it can be in the NFL. When you talk about balance, 50-50, 60-40, you're talking about the Seattle Seahawks offense, Kenneth Walker III against the Giants defense that hasn't been that strong against the run. Wink's got his hands tied. Tynes, say that 5 times.
Yeah, that was a nice job. Kenneth Walker's fantastic player. Rookie last year, second-year player, runs really well. They're going to have their hands full like they always have. The Giants on that side of the ball, we talked about offensive line, they need to stop the damn run. There's a lot of capital on that D-line financially. It has played Okereke, who's been out of position a lot this year. These linebackers, and Micah McFadden had an outstanding game, still missed a few tackles. I think he's gaining confidence. I think Okereke kind of comes from a defense that didn't blitz as much as the Giants do. He's probably settling down, getting used to it. I think this defense is going to take a step forward, but they got to stop the run. Otherwise, it's going to be a field day with play action with those guys. DK Metcalf, Njigba, Lockett, tight end. I mean, Kenneth Walker out of the backfield too, guys. He can catch the football.
Yep.
So stop the run. It's always been the number one priority of every single defense since football started. And they have not done that. Part of the reason they're 1-2. We all point to the offense. This defense is not very good.
Paul, do you think Wink is going to have to blitz again to create some sort of pressure and stop the run?
He always blitzes. You know what I mean? He's not blitzing less. I mean, and also, I mean, you guys, I don't know what you think, but, those screen passes that were just abysmal, defending them in San Francisco, that's really a run in a lot of ways, you know? That's a running play, and Kenneth Walker has a tendency to go forward, right? He's wouldn't you describe him? He's sort of an angry runner. He's that a little bit of a Ahmad Bradshaw angry runner kind of thing. And so if he's only supposed to get 3 yards, he gets 4. If it's only 1 yard, he gets 3. And I asked him, Okereke, about that. And he said, we have to be physical. We have to be physical with him because he is going to push us forward. And, I've seen Okereke and I've seen Xavier McKinney at times not be the physical presences they needed to be. I mean, McKinney has been stood up a couple of times this year, Connor near the end zone and the force is moving forward and the Giants don't move it backwards. So, they brought in, Raheem Nochez, they brought in Ashawn Robinson to be those run stoppers. Dexter Lawrence gets paid a lot of money. Leonard Williams gets paid a lot of money. They're not just pass rushers. They're also run stoppers. Not an impressive start to those guys at all. I mean, we can go down the list. I mean, who's been impressive? Who do you say, man, they are holding it down? I mean, you have to, as Pat Riley said once in his book and famously, sometimes you just have to plant your feet and take a stand. You know what I mean? They have to plant their feet and take a stand on both sides of the line this week and Monday night. They just have to. The season is pretty much depending on it. Yeah,
I also have to mention Seattle's RB2, Zach Charbonnet. He had 9 carries, 46 yards. That's 5.1 yards per carries. They got to switch up. They've got 2 backs back there that are willing and able. So the Giants defense is going to have their hands full. But again, I look at this primetime game as a time for them to be able to change the narrative on national TV. Let's get to these fans' comments, questions, and I guess, I don't like when people overuse the word hate. They're hating. Yeah, but so I went around a lot. I went around all over the X app and just seeing what the vibe of Giants fans have been like this week. Larry Fisherman, DJ Kachoa, number 2. But our genius captain and leader X said tackling isn't the problem. Xavier McKinney said tackling wasn't the problem. What do you guys think about the Giants tackling going into this game? We kind of touched on it, but for our guy who wrote in, what do the Giants have to do?
Man, just tackle. They've missed.
Just like that.
If 35 missed tackles is not the problem, then tell Xavier I've got some oceanfront property in Lincoln, Nebraska for him. That's not true. Tackling is a problem.
The Giants, they did a
contributed.
tackling circuit.
Yep.
They did a tackling circuit Thursday at practice, to work on tackling. McKinney's point was we need to create turnovers and we need to, what was the other thing he said that was more important than tackling? I don't know if it was
get off the field.
Get off the field on 3rd down. I mean, he's not wrong with any of those things. You know what I mean? But how do you get off the field at 3rd down? They throw a 6-yard pass on 3rd and 9 and you tackle the guy. You know what I mean? So, players hate talking about tackling because it is so fundamental that when you say, are you a bad tackling team? They cannot say yes because you're basically saying, Paul, when you write a story, do you know how to spell? You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah.
well, you don't
but
know
it's
how
a
to
pride
sell.
thing more than anything, Paul. It's a pride thing because at that
Right.
point, this is a locker room full of alpha males. You are questioning their toughness. That's the question. Like, are you guys bad tacklers? That's basically saying, are you soft? Like in a different way.
And
because
technique. You know what I mean? You're sloppy and you're soft. You know, and you know they oh no, we don't have to worry about tackling. I got here because I can tackle. Well, I don't know about that.
Real quick, Paul, question. Do they do that tackling drill during the period where the media can watch practice, or was this at part of the closed practice?
Okereke told me that they did a tackling circuit. Okay. Basically, when the media is open, you know, when we see them, they do some fine special teams work.
Yep.
Which, no offense to Lawrence Tynes, it's not always the most riveting stuff. Okay. They do some individual stuff, and it's art. Yes, it's art. And then they kind of shoo us away, and they kind of wait for us to get off the podium there, the platform there, before the offensive line will actually line up, because they don't want us to see who's lining up, which is, I mean, that's their prerogative. It's their practice, whatever. But yeah, believe me, anything we see during the open part of practice, they fully know. You can see it because it doesn't mean anything.
All right. I was just wondering if Dable was doing that so the media could see it, so they could write about it like, oh, look, the Giants are working on tackling in practice. Let's move on to the second one. We've got at Jizzle Faux Shizzle. These newbies at D-line and linebacker need to step up because Dex getting a 90 PFF grade doesn't seem to ever translate to our run D being good. Dexter Lawrence had a 90 grade on PFF. A lot of fans are saying they don't hear his name enough. How did he get a 90? Tynes, what do you think of Dex, the way he's playing?
Well, I'm actually more excited to meet at Dizzle Faux Shizzle, who just submitted the question, which is by far one of the coolest Twitter X handles I've ever heard of. Dexter has done his thing. He's clearly been the best player on defense, but his job is to kind of take on blockers and create a little bit of pressure and let these linebackers scrape off his backside and make plays and flow to the football. And the Giants just have not done that. You know, they have not made enough impact plays, stopping the run, sacks, turnovers. Dexter continues to be one of the best and elite, D tackles in this game, and that's why he makes all the money. But these guys behind him got to start playing better, playing faster.
Paul.
I'm very, very thankful that you don't have me read the fans' questions on social media, okay? Because I think we have the right person reading them. I think we have the right person reading them. Is all I'm saying. There's no like. Means. Oh, this next question is from Big Giant Fan 1956. I can read that one, okay? But the other one's not so much. I think Dexter's been okay. Look. Heavy lies the head that wears the crown, right? He's got a $90 million crown on him right now. Everyone in the league knows it, and with that comes expectation, and with that comes more double teams and all that other stuff. And so this is a new frontier for guys like Dexter Lawrence and guys like, Andrew Thomas also. When you get paid, you've got I don't know if it's a target on your back, but everyone around the league says, oh, this is one of the best guys in the league. Okay, now he's getting paid like it. Okay, I make a fraction of what he makes. I'm gonna show him. So I think that's all part of it. And Dexter's got to take it to the next level there, because that's, you get the money, you get the heat.
All right, Big Blue, well, you heard from us. We read from some of the comments, and we'll be sure to interact with you guys on X and underneath the comments on the YouTube. So you've heard from the fans, and now let's go into Quest Diagnostics Training Center, and let's see how Adoree Jackson, Xavier McKinney, and Jason Pinnock are looking at their matchups against this Seahawks passing game.
Adoree, first and foremost, how you feeling? How the vibes of the squad?
Good, feeling good. I mean, as you can hear, probably it's a lot of commotion. We're still out here competing, battling, so energy is good here.
I want to get your thoughts on something. You're a vet. You got a lot of time in this league. You guys had 3 games in 12 games. Now you got 11 days in between competition periods. What do you like better as a, 7-year veteran? Which one is easier on the body? Which one is better in terms of competition?
I'm not gonna lie. I like both a quick turnaround and a time to get breaks. As you know, when you get a quick turnaround, you know the other team just played on that Sunday or whatever they played, so it's balanced out. And then when you have a break, you get your body a chance to rest. So it's beneficial for both. I like the quick turnaround because I get a longer break, get my body together.
All right, let's talk about Geno Smith, aka Geno 2.0. They wrote him off. He ain't right back. This offense goes through this dude. In terms of prepping for Geno Smith, what's his skill set? What does he bring to that offense?
Very smart player, a veteran in this league that's played a lot of games. A great arm strength, can run the ball, can be mobile. I just feel like a guy that's poised and smart. Like you said, he didn't write back, so he knows what to do, knows what not to do, and just playing to his skill set and his ability, and he's a playmaker.
His comeback, does that make him even more dangerous? Because he's kind of, in a way, you can say, playing with house money right now.
I think it makes him who he always been. When he was in college, playing well, even when he was in the league, some things happen where it may be, but staying the course, staying patient, being humble, respecting the game. When you do that, good things happen to you, and that's why he's playing at a high level.
Let's talk about who he's throwing to. DK Metcalf leads the team in yards, but Tyler Lockett leads the team in touchdowns and targets.
Right.
Break down both of their skill set, and when you see Metcalf versus Tyler Lockett, does that change your approach and how you cover those guys?
I would say they're two different but the same in the sense where they're both playmakers. They both can get the ball on a slant, a hitch, an under route, take it to the house, can both attack you deep vertically and can run routes. So I feel like those guys, obviously stature, size-wise, they bring different things, but playmakers as well, and you got to study them both the same.
Jason, Seattle, this offense, they've put up 30. Twice in 3 games, 27 on that last one. What's it like preparing for the Seattle offense? How can they hurt you?
Just knowing they got a big guy who can stretch the field, DK, 50-50 guy. You got a wily vet who can stretch the field as well, Lockett. So just trying to kind of minimize them, let them check the ball down and go tackles.
How do you minimize 2 receivers as dangerous as that and know what they're doing with the amount of experience they've had in this league?
A lot of trust in our young corners, and then obviously filter back to our vets in the back. So, me and X been doing it for a while. Both have great ability when the ball's in the air. So let them play aggressive, let them play dogs, and then we up top.
You come back from playing a Christian McCaffrey. You've got Kenneth Walker III now. What's the difference in their skill set, and what does he bring to this offense?
Honestly, to me, watching similar to me. Both great after contact. Definitely got to wrap them up. It's going to be a big game of first man in, wrap up, secure the tackle, and then second guy get the ball out. Shifty, low to the ground. That's the thing, can change direction very well. And see, Kenneth's a set you up type of guy. He's a set you up type of guy. So just playing smart within our gaps.
You guys are back on the big screen on Monday Night Football. It's your 3rd primetime game this year. If people are saying you guys you got to get a win on primetime to show the league that you guys are contenders, like how big would this win be on a Monday Night Football game?
It's big. I think we know that, but we don't make it bigger than what it is. It's a game, just like last week, or whether we play at 1 o'clock, 8 or 4:30. It's a must-win. Every week is a must-win.
Xavier, I was just talking with Jason Pinnock about going up against a DK Metcalf and a Tyler Lockett. He said the communication has to be there between you two guys. What's it like going up against these 2 type of receivers, both who's had a lot of success in this league?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you get to face, great receivers like those 2, it's always going to be a challenge. I think we understand that. We've been able to, face, other great receivers before. So we definitely understand that. It's going to be fun, just like it always is. But we definitely got to be keyed in, definitely got to be locked in on the communication part of it. And not just, us 2, but just the defense as a whole. I think that's going to be super important this game.
You throw in a Kenneth Walker III, and now this offense has balance. Yeah. You have 2 big play receivers on the outside, then you have a running back. What's that like having to play a team that's both has success in both the run and the pass?
Yeah, it's definitely tough when you play a team that's well-rounded and very balanced run and pass. You always know when you get a team like that, you gotta really play things true. You gotta be on your keys. You can't have bad eyes, anything like that, because it can get you at times. But just got to be smart. Got to play with discipline, and be ready to compete at the end of the day. So. And
then the general of the offense, I like to call him Geno Smith 2.0. He's
brand new guy in this league almost. What's it like playing that chess game with a quarterback like Geno Smith?
Yeah, man. I think, chess game with the quarterbacks, it's definitely can get tough because you definitely got to do a good study on them and kind of know, what they like to do, their tendencies. This will be my second time playing Geno, I think. So it's going to be a fun matchup. I picked some things from the first time we played him before last year. So it should be fun, being able to go against him again.
You can't tell us what those things are, huh?
Nah, I can't tell you. I can't give out too much info, man.
G14 classified. I get it. All right, you've gone up against a Dak, a Josh Dobbs, Brock Purdy, now Geno. Kind of which quarterback would you say is the hardest to prepare for?
I probably got to go with Dak. So Dak, that was actually my first time playing him. So my first year I was hurt, so I didn't get to play him. My second year I think he was hurt. And then third year, it was a different QB, I think. But that was my first time playing him, and it was definitely a challenge. Some things that, I wasn't expecting him to do. But it's good to, be able to face him, and, when we see him again, I kind of understand a little bit more and can process things a lot faster.
Last but not least, is everything okay with the Alabama Crimson Tide?
Yeah, everything good, man. We got a little slow start, but we're gonna be all right. Though we always, find a way to push through. That's, we built like that, so we'll be all right. In
the words of Xavier McKinney and Kendrick Lamar, we're gonna be all right.
Yeah, we're gonna be all right for sure.
Xavier McKinney talked about the tell that he picked up on Geno the last time they played. So I wonder if that tell could lead to the Giants' first turnover of the season. They needed the separations in the preparation. All right, so there's no Know Your Enemy this week. So we got some prop bets and some predictions from different sports books. You guys know how we do this thing. I'm going to give the over-under. You guys tell the number. You guys give us the over-under. We're going to start with Geno Smith 2.0. 253 and a half pass yards. Over, under, Tynes. I heard the Give us the good.
I'm going over.
Ooh.
I like Geno Smith to go over 253 against his secondary. I'm mad at this team, so every time I'm going to do everything against him. He's going to throw for 300, multiple touchdowns, over 253.
Paul.
For Geno.
When you've lost Lawrence Tynes, I know they didn't lose you, but he's on the edge there. Geno, I'm going to go under. I'm going to go under 253, mainly because I think they're going to run it pretty well. And so they're not going to have to throw for 300, so that's a good news for the Giants, under 253, maybe bad news for the Giants because they're going to run it pretty well.
Agreed. I go under with this one. I think the Giants' secondary is going to limit the big plays from a lot of his weapons on the outside, but I think he's going to run the ball, or the Seahawks are going to run the ball. And that leads us to the next player prop bet. Kenneth Walker III, 64 and a half rush yards, over, under. Paul.
Well, you guys like the way I said butter last time I was on, so I'm going to say over. Over for
Over. Okay.
I like that.
OVAH. Over. He's a good runner. You know what? Prove it to me. I'll pick unders when you start holding these guys unders. Okay, that's all. I'm not going to speculate on what they're going to do. I'm going to say based on past performance, I'm going to say over until they prove me wrong. So over.
Tynes.
Way over. This is a big game for the Seattle offense. They're going to absolutely dominate the Giants defense. So he's going to have 100. Several receivers will have a couple 100 yards too. So I'm going over for Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, he ran for 90-something against the Carolina Panthers. I'm going over on this one as well. The Giants' rush defense has to show that they could stop somebody. All right, let's go to the outside, the receivers. DK Metcalf, 66 and a half receiving yards. Over, under, over or under, Tynes?
Over for DK Metcalf and all his muscles. Yes, he is going to be way over 60-something, whatever the heck you said, yards.
Paul.
I'm sensing a bad trend here with Lawrence. There's no way he's going to pick the Giants after trashing them like this. I think over, and I think because there'll be one big play. There'll be one in the 30, 35, 40 range, and that will, lift it up. I don't know if he's going to be, 9 for 140 or anything, but he always gets a big play down the field. He may get a big pass interference too. He's just so physical and so fast that, one of these rookies is going to take him down or just get out muscled, and, that will bring the average up. So over.
I'm saying under. Trey Hawkins III, get the seatbelt. Strap them up. That's what the DBs do these days, the seat belts. I think DK Metcalf is going to be relatively quiet. It's the next guy that I'm worried about, and that's Tyler Lockett, 53.5 receiving yards. Paul, over, under?
I'm going to say under. Just a guess. I think it'll be more Metcalf than Lockett. Lockett's really good, and he could be the guy that we don't talk about that much, and he goes for 150. But I'll go under because I can't go over with everybody here. I don't think the Seahawks are going to score 40.
Tynes.
Yeah, I'll go under here too. I think Lockett is a tremendous player. I think he gets a couple little red zone touchdowns. He's an unbelievable route runner down in the red zone. For a guy that's not big, the way he creates separation from the slot and some various spots, he is such a good route runner, and his dad's a very good friend of mine. So, yes, I'm going to say he's under.
I'm going to go over on this one. DK Metcalf leads the team in catches and yards, but Tyler Lockett leads the team in targets. Geno Smith targets this guy. And if they're going to run the ball on the Giants, that's going to open up that RPO game. And when those linebackers step up, there he goes on that slant. Tyler Lockett knows what spot to be at, and that's where a lot of his success comes from. Let's flip it. Let's talk about these Giants prop bets. We got Daniel Jones, 217.5 passing yards. Tynes, over, under?
Under. No way.
Ooh.
I don't think they're going to do it. I think they're going to – no, he's under 200 yards, under 217.
Paul.
No facts to back it up, just –
well, you have the last two games of facts. The last three, you have two, not the Arizona game, but the second half. I'm going to say over. 217 is not, it only looks crazy when you look about 130 and 150 and whatever the heck the Giants are putting up. Every time the Giants lose a game, and I get, according to Elias, it's the lowest something in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. What are we talking about here? The total yards is the lowest in 15 or 20 years. This is not supposed to happen. I'm going to say over. I think it'll be a close enough game where I think Daniel's going to finally get something going downfield with some of these guys.
Yeah, I'm going to go over as well. We're talking about a Seattle Seahawks offense that's put up 37 in back-to-back games. The Giants are going to have to match that. They're not going to be able, I don't think it's going to be one of those games where you try and hold them to 17, 24 points. The Giants are going to have to throw that rock. Daniel Jones, 34.5 rush yards, over, under. Tynes, who did I say? What, Tynes? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go over here. I think Daniel's going to have a big day with his legs. I really do. I think this is the game where he kind of breaks out, maybe not 100 yards, but something in that 70 to 80 yard range. They've got to get this part of the game going again to have a chance. Run the football, run with Daniel, and then pick your spots to throw it. So I'll go over.
Paul.
Yeah, the Giants were spooked, in San Francisco. San Francisco was waiting for it. Daniel, 2 rushes for 5 yards. The Giants aren't going to win that way. That's the way they're built. He's got to, especially with no Saquon. You have to have rushing yards from him. I'm going to say over 34.5. They have to. And, after a game where he ran for 5 yards, they know they have to do better than that. And it doesn't have to be programmed stuff. Bang, take it and go. Take it and go. You don't see it, put it down. You can get the first down, run out of bounds, slide. That's it. Move the chains. First downs are not a bad thing with this team. They don't need all the big plays. Get some first downs.
Yeah, I'm going to go over on this one. I think he has a chunk run, 18 to 25, and that's off of scrambling on the third down. It came to me in my sleep last night. Here we go. Last one. Darren Waller, 45.5 receiving yards. Paul, over, under.
Daniel Jones's rushing stats don't come to me in my sleep. I don't know. Maybe call me crazy. I don't know, but they don't. Waller, I'm going to say under. I'm going to say under. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait till the next big game. And I'm not. I said Daniel's going to have over 217, but Waller will do something. And I think Hyatt can have a long one. Slayton can have a long one. Maybe some underneath stuff. I'm just going to say under for Waller because. He's not breaking any tackles, I'll tell you that much. He's got to secure the ball and tuck it away and not have it get punched out or not have it go off his hands. That's number one with him right now.
Tynes, Paul thinks that Daniel's going to throw for over 217, but Waller's not going to get in on any of that action. 45.5, over, under.
Yeah, I think Waller can surpass that, no problem. I don't like the Seahawks linebackers matchup against Darren Waller. Obviously he's familiar with them having played them a few times in the last couple of seasons being in Oakland, but I do like Waller to get going here at home in front of the home crowd.
Yeah.
Over 45 yards. That should be just a couple catches for him.
It's same. He has to get going. The offense runs through him. They did a great job against Arizona in that second half, getting him the ball off of the RPO.
Yeah.
Have to have that run game presence to open that up, but that's a way to get him the ball, get him started, get some sort of rhythm, and then you take some chunk plays down the field. Let's go to our we're gonna add our predictions and final thoughts together. Paul, you'll go, I'll go, and then Tynes, you kick us home. Predictions and your final thoughts, Paul.
Leonard Williams said it's not a must-win because if we don't win, it's not like we're not in the playoffs. I mean, he still wants to win. I get that, but but he's right. I mean, must-win to me is if you lose, you're eliminated. So that's not the case. But I call it almost like a must-not-lose game. And is there a difference? Well, not really, but in my mind there is, because you can't lose this game, go to 1-3 against a Seattle team that you probably would be fighting for in the NFC playoff race anyway. So it'd be a double-edged sword. I think the Giants on Monday night, which is where they're at their worst, finally come up with a win. It's going to be like a 27-24 kind of game, close, tough, and Lawrence Tynes' favorite game, a field goal at the end wins it by Graham Gano.
Yeah, I say Giants 28-25. Field goal at the end wins that. Absolutely. You're talking to this defense. I need you guys to play with urgency, but don't play desperate. Once you play desperate, that's when the flags get to flying. You're trying to do too much. The Giants have to come in and, again, change the narrative about this team on primetime. And you have a Monday Night Football game with the entire world watching to do that. Daniel Jones, whichever running back, offensive line, you guys can confront all the haters, all the Twitter fingers out there by having success on this Monday Night Football game, beating a good Seattle Seahawks team. It's right there for the Giants. It's right there to take it, and that's all they have to do. Play together, play smart, play with urgency, but don't play desperate. Tynes, kick us home.
Yeah. This game, it falls on the staff, and mainly this guy. You see this guy?
Ooh.
Look, and I'm wearing shorts, and I don't care about showing anyone I'm wearing shorts. I don't care. It's on this guy right here. Brian Daboll, wake up. Coach of the year. Show us why you're coach of the year. You've got better players. You have a better scheme. You have players all over the place. It's up to you to get this team motivated to go play in front of a national audience and win a game. You're a great coach. Figure out what motivates these guys. Giants 31. Seahawks 27. There's going to be a defensive score here by our defense. So even though I picked that offense to move the football against the Giants, they're still not going to win the game. Let's get this guy going. Coach of the year. Where are you? I haven't seen you in 3 weeks.
All right, Brian Daboll, you got Lawrence Tynes telling you to show. And it's not disrespectful people who are going to say,
I love him.
Calling out Brian Daboll. We think he's a heck of a coach. We want to see that energy. The whole fan base wants to see that energy.
I want to hear Juicy in that locker room after the game, right? That's
Paul,
that was their thing.
Paul, before we end, who sings Juicy?
Any guess I would make would be Drake. I don't know.
Okay. Tynes, close enough? Close enough?
I like that. That's
We'll
fine.
like that. We'll like that. All right, guys.
Who is it? Who is it?
Notorious B.I.G. Notorious B.I.G.
Oh, yeah.
You familiar with him?
I've heard of him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a start right there. All right.
Have my son on. My son will talk about him. No. Springsteen? Did Springsteen sing that song? No.
Margaritaville?
Can we wrap the show up?
All right, here we go. All right, we gave you guys the matchups, the player interviews, prop bets, and our final thoughts to get you guys ready for Monday night. Thank you guys for watching Blue Rush. Remember to subscribe, follow, like, and share the podcast and the show, which you can find on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you choose. Waving the flag. We appreciate the love.
Scotland.
All the love coming from Scotland, from the UK, from Germany, all Giants fans all over. And make sure you check out new episodes. They go back to dropping on Thursdays before a Sunday game. And the post-game podcast will be out around lunchtime on Tuesday because we've got a Monday night game. Go follow both the New York Post Sports and SNY YouTube pages for all the videos and all the cool content for and from Paul Schwartz, Lawrence Tynes, and myself. Thank you guys for hanging with us. That's it for this episode of Blue Rush.